I have been on YouTube for about 2 years now. A lot of people have recently been saying that YouTube is dead or that it's overly saturated, so you can't start out at this time period in 2022/2023, but I do not believe that's true at all. I actually gave a speech recently about how to grow on YouTube at this band festival event, and I thought I would just share the information that I shared at that workshop with you guys. My name's Sarah, and I'm gonna give a workshop about how to grow on YouTube. Just to give context, I grew 50,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I've been doing it for almost 2 years now, and it's also my current main source of income between Google AdSense and sponsorships as well. And it's one of the reasons I've been able to travel full-time for over 3 years in my van. But before I get into the logistical side, I'll share my story. I grew up with an Asian mother who believed I could become 3 things. I could become an engineer, I could be a doctor, or I could be a failure. Even though I really wanted to pursue a job in the arts, whether that was painting, writing, videography, or photography, those weren't things my mom viewed as a valid career. Instead, she thought of them as hobbies. So even though my doctor told my mother when I was 3 years old that he hadn't seen a kid my age draw a better stick figure, and that my parents should consider enrolling me in art classes, they never truly thought that I'd grow up to become a painter. And when I was in 1st grade, when I won an award for writing my own piano pieces, my parents never really thought that I could become a musician. In high school, when my math teacher got mad because I was drawing instead of listening in class, my parents never really believed that I should go to an art school instead of college. And when I did eventually go to college to please them, but I started making short films instead of going to class, they never really considered the idea of me going to film school instead. Growing up, there was a constant battle between my mother and I. She wanted me to be a doctor, and I wanted to create art. She wanted me to go to college, and I wanted to travel the world. And the more I verbalized my dreams, the more she pushed back. Her favorite quote when I was in high school was that I'd be a starving artist if I continued to pursue a creative career. My favorite quote at the time was, "If you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing it's stupid." I was a sophomore in college when I finally decided I wanted to take a leap of faith and follow my dreams, no matter how impossible they seemed. I dropped out of college, sold all my belongings, and worked several jobs until I was able to save up for a van. I built the van out with the help of my dad, and when I got on the road, I started making videos and posting them on YouTube.
I need you like a rising sun.
I had been traveling for a few months when my first YouTube video went viral. I think it has almost 500,000 views now. And this is the video which actually enabled me to monetize my YouTube channel. So in order to monetize a YouTube channel, you need to meet a couple requirements. The first one is you need more than 1,000 subscribers, and the second requirement is you need more than 4,000 watch time hours. And honestly, these requirements can feel intimidating when you're starting out. Like for me, I was very intimidated, and I thought it would never happen. Like, this is such a dream for me to be able to do this full time. But I tried, and I also really tried to start to believe I could do it because I had been carrying a lot of those limiting beliefs from my parents. And I think all of us have some limiting beliefs when when starting out a creative career. And like, I'm not gonna lie, there are statistics to reflect that it's difficult to become a YouTuber.
Hi, we're eating the leftover cheese board mix while sitting near the ocean.
There's one statistic I read, I have it here. It says 96.6% of YouTube channels have fewer than 10,000 subscribers. Hearing statistics like this can feel super discouraging, but I have learned so much through my YouTube journey, and I've learned a lot of tricks to building an audience online that feels like they really know you and they come back for more and they're invested and engaged audience. So I thought I'd share that with you guys because I would have loved to have this knowledge when I was starting out. But before I get into like all the tips and tricks, I'm just going to lay out really quickly some of the pros and cons of this career. So just to list it off very quickly, some of the pros are you have freedom of travel, you can create your own schedule, you are your own boss, you can make money doing something you love, assuming that you love creating, of course. You can build an online community, meet friends, have a positive impact on the world. And then some of the cons is there's a lack of stability just in general. The algorithm can sometimes feel like your boss. You may have to work for less than minimum wage or no money at all in the beginning. There's a lack of privacy in your life. You can face constant criticism and also cancel culture. Your career relies on social media, which we all know can be toxic. There you can kind of feel a lack of creativity sometimes, and you still have to create because it's your job. You can face burnout, it can put pressure on your relationships, and you can feel imposter syndrome. So yeah, those are all of the cons and pros to this career. I feel like it was important to share that because we're often fed this idea that if you find a way to make money doing something you love, you'll never work a day in your life, and I really don't believe that. Like, even though content creation is an easy job, even though YouTube is an easy job compared to a lot of things, it still feels like a job some days. And like, there's so much stuff behind the scenes that I would love to share more about, but I don't. And that is like negotiating with brands and doing outreach to brands. The inconsistency of not making the same amount of money for the hours that you spend each month. Like, one month I could not make a lot and be really stressed financially, and another month you can make so much more than you ever thought, and it just can be inconsistent in those ways, which can feel very stressful. And then for me, it takes like 7 to 15 hours to edit each video. Sometimes it even takes longer. I am actually about to edit a YouTube video now. I have my laptop, I need to start editing. I have like probably a full day of work left, so I'm gonna get started on that. And if you guys are interested in an in-depth video about how I make my videos, let me know. Ask your questions down below because I'll answer that in that video. When you're first starting out on YouTube, I think it's very valuable to hone in on your why. Why do you want to make videos? What's your intention? What do you want to share with the world? Do you want to have person-first content where people watch your videos primarily to connect with you? Or do you want people to tune in because you teach them something? Or do you want a mixture of both? I also think it's important to get really specific about the positive impact you want to make on YouTube. To be honest, YouTube is a really saturated platform, especially within the van life niche that I'm in. And I think it's really helpful to share a positive message that you believe in, whether that's body positivity, environmentalism, animal rights, BLM, leave no trace, diversity, protecting indigenous land, or LGBTQ+ activism. I think this is important not only for our own individual mental health, because it feels good to be doing work that helps others, but it's also a way to set yourself apart and to start a positive ripple effect. And it will help you attract an audience that feels like they really know you and know what you stand for. Of course, it's important to build an audience if you're trying to make YouTube a career, but it's also important who's in that audience. 1,000 followers who believe in the causes you believe in and are passionate followers is way more valuable than 5,000 followers who know nothing about who you truly are and what you stand for when you're not in front of the camera. I know this can feel scary though, because when you share a cause you're passionate about, you are inevitably going to be turning away some people. On my channel, I focus specifically on animal rights activism through veganism and queer activism, and almost every time I mention these causes, I will get a comment about how being gay is a sin or how someone didn't subscribe to my channel because I talk too much about animal rights. But I'll also say that I've met a lot of my subscribers through my travels, and many of them are close friends now. When I meet someone who follows my channel, I'm always pleasantly surprised with how similar we are, and I think this is because I'm vulnerable online about what I believe in and the causes I care about. And maybe this is my inner activist coming out, but I don't think the internet needs more people who are palatable and agreeable. Yes, you should be an agreeable and warm person to some degree on your channel, but I think we need more authenticity. We need to speak up for what we believe in and what's right, even if it makes some people uncomfortable. We need to be ourselves and be honest online about the struggles we're experiencing. I know some people believe that speaking up about a cause online is going to make it harder to grow, but I don't really believe that. I actually think it's the opposite, and here are some examples to prove my point. The first is Patagonia. I think we all know who Patagonia is. They're a massive brand, and they've always been very clear about their mission to save our planet. They have a self-imposed earth tax for the planet. They link sports with activism and outwardly express their support of environmental activism overall through social media posts and on their website. And then there's Casey Neistat. He's a YouTuber who has over 12 million subscribers, and every time an election comes around, he makes a YouTube video about it, sharing who he's voting for, prompting his subscribers to vote for them, and also other YouTubers to share who they're voting for. And within the van life niche, we have Eamon and Beck with over 1 million subscribers. They've been very vocal about veganism, and they've asked guests on their podcast why they aren't vegan and share how it's better for the planet and the animals. So I believe it's entirely possible to become successful while also sharing your personal opinions about politics, environmental causes, or messages that you believe in. I not only think it's possible, but I think in some ways, if you do it correctly, it can even help to share your why and messages you believe in. We have been at this campsite for the last few days. It is such an amazing campsite, like I don't want to leave. It's right by the ocean, but I am wire wrapping some jewelry right now, which is one of the ways that I make money while I'm on the road. And if I'm being honest, when it comes to YouTube or just social media in general and the fact that that's like where the majority of our income comes from, Tori and I have both been feeling kind of anxious about it and a little burnt out. I mean, the last time I talked to you guys, I was talking about some of the cons of this career, and I feel like it's something I don't often talk about because this is such a privilege. This is like the dream job. This has been my dream job for such a long time, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. Like, I'm so grateful to be able to, I don't know, make money doing something I love. I've worked so many 9-to-5s in my life. I was a hostess, I worked at climbing gyms, I worked at a therapy center for autistic kids, I've done nannying and stuff like that. This is just so much better, like on every level. Because of that, I think it's sometimes hard to talk about like the negative aspects of it because there is so much privilege that comes with a job like this. But specifically on TikTok, I think a lot of my comment section has just felt like really intense. And even on YouTube, like The internet is a dark place, and people say things on the internet that they would never say to you in person. I recently got a comment on a video about showing how I showered and talking about how often I shower and how I don't shower as often as when I lived in a house. This man said something along the lines of, I would never go down on this woman, blah, blah, blah. And it's just so inappropriate and weird to say that to someone. But those are the types of comments I have to deal with on a daily basis. And honestly, anyone on the internet has to deal with on a daily basis. I mean, I posted another video on YouTube about how I stay safe while living in a van. And all of these people are, like, these creepy people are saying how they would bypass all my security features. And I'm like, you need to be put on a watch list. Like, you're trying to say that you're gonna like hurt me. There's also just like criticism. Like, people are always criticizing, always saying what you can be doing differently or telling you what to do. There's a mental aspect of it that can become very difficult, and I think it can wear down, at least on my mental health. And in those moments, I try not to like read my comments as much and just create for the sake of creating and stay true to that. But I did want to share this quote that I love so much, and it really helps me in those moments when the fear of criticism or the fear of how a video will be received is really getting to me. Okay, the quote is by Theodore Roosevelt, and it goes like this. It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes up short again and again because there is no effort without error or shortcoming, but who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who knew neither victory nor defeat. I just think that's such a powerful quote. I always read it in my head whenever I'm struggling with just being online, honestly.
Hi, Liza. Hi. Welcome home. Hi.
The last couple days have been work days for me, and I've just been editing this video that I have due tomorrow. I post videos every Sunday. And I think that posting every single week or like having a schedule really helps tackle some of those limiting beliefs I have, because I think like everyone, I do have limiting beliefs, and I did have limiting beliefs when starting out on YouTube. Some of my biggest ones are that people are doing what I'm doing. People are already making videos like the ones that I'm making, or that my videos aren't good enough, or people aren't going to relate to me enough. And that's just not true. And I think it really helps to write in your journal and tackle those limiting beliefs, but also to have a set schedule, because some days it's going to feel very flowy to edit, and it's going to feel really good, and like you're going to have this creative energy just come to you, and it's going to feel kind of magical and unexplainable. And other days you might show up, but the flow doesn't, and the ideas don't, and the creativity doesn't, and that's where discipline comes in. And I think that's a really important part of creativity. When it comes to like editing software and how I make my videos, I do really want to make like a whole dedicated video about how I make my videos. But I will say, you don't need fancy equipment, you don't need fancy gear. I did use a camera starting out, but one of my best friends, Maddie Taylor, she has like almost 90,000 subscribers on YouTube right now, and she started out with a phone, so I thought I'd quickly share her story.
Hi, my name is Maddie Taylor. I got my van in 2020, and about at the same time I decided to start YouTube. And when I started YouTube, I didn't really have any skill set whatsoever. I'd never filmed a video, I'd never edited a video, and I certainly didn't have a good camera. And so I actually started with what I had, because that was my only choice. At the time I had an iPhone 7, and that got me through for actually about 6 months. I also didn't have a tripod, and I wasn't really willing to invest the money in a tripod, which is kind of silly in hindsight, but I did have this $20 painting easel that I got off of Amazon. And for the first year of life on the road and the first year of YouTube, I was using a painter's easel that I rubber banded my phone to, just using 2 flimsy rubber bands, and it worked. Honestly, I feel like even in spite of that, my YouTube channel grew, and I think the biggest take-home message here is it doesn't matter what tools you start with. You can start with an iPhone 7, you can start with the oldest phone in the book, and you can start without a tripod, but you can still make it work. And I think starting from nothing made me appreciate my craft even more, and made me appreciate how much easier my job got when I was able to slowly upgrade over time. And I also think I learned a lot having to kind of wiggle my way through and learn it from zero skill set.
Yay, that was
make
perfect.
Sense?
Yes.
So that's her story. You don't need fancy equipment. Like she said, she started out using her phone. You don't need to go to film school. Like, you are unique and you have a space on this platform. There are people that are going to resonate with me, and they're going to want to follow my journey, and there's going to be another person doing the exact same thing, living in a van, traveling, and you know, all of the things that I do, but just because they might have a different personality, other people might relate to them. So yeah, there is space for you here, and I think the biggest part about starting on YouTube is just believing that you can start, and all of these mental things. So if you can tackle that, then the majority of the work is done. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, because it really supports my channel, and subscribe because, like I have said in this video, I post every Sunday. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!
We were free.